MVP, who was an NBA Finals MVP, the reigning NBA Finals MVP. Obviously, we know what he means, but to go into those hostile confines in Sacramento against an emerging superstar in De'Aaron Fox, with Malik Monk playing like he's trying to be one himself, leading all scorers in the postseason or in points off the bench this postseason. It's going to take the greatness of Steph Curry. We know there's other contributions that are coming. They have to come from Klay Thompson, Payton, and Draymond Green with their defensive prowess. Andrew Wiggins, they've got to make their contributions. Jordan Poole, you do get paid too. You do just to let the world know, you do get paid too, Jordan Poole. You got to show up. But in the end, it comes down to Steph Curry. Because in Game 7s, ultimately there are no surprises. Yep. And it's about giving somebody the ball and saying, take me there. Steph Curry is the one man that has to do it, and I believe he will.
Mr. Wilbon?
I agree with everything Stephen A. said about Steph Curry, and I'm going to go to what has to counter that if the result is to be different. If the champions are to be dethroned, a young child, relatively speaking, is going to have to lead that sort of insurrection with Sacramento, and that's De'Aaron Fox. I mean, there's a difference, all-star to first team, maybe, all-NBA second team. He's doing that in these playoffs already. Now, what about that next step to truly great superstar? That's done in the playoffs. Jalen always reminds us. That's done now. This is the season for that. Is De'Aaron Fox ready for that next step? It's not going to be a step back if he can't do it. Steph Curry is still in his prime and doing his thing. But De'Aaron Fox has the makings of it. It looks like he's got all the stuff to say, okay, I'm in this conversation now and lead that Sacramento team. So that's the storyline I'm looking for. How great can De'Aaron Fox be today?
And for me, it's follow my head or follow my heart.
Right.
Because what I'm seeing on the floor, based on the Warriors struggling on the road all year, already have gotten a road game in this series. The odds will be against them winning Sacramento, in particular after the way Sacramento just beat them down in Golden State in the previous game. But I agree with Stephen A. The Splash Brothers and that championship pedigree, I think it's going to show itself on the road today. But if the Kings are going to win, to the Legends' point, Sabonis have to give them a game. They're winning despite him not making his 13 to 15-foot jump shot, despite him being in foul trouble consistently, despite when Draymond Green is out still allowing Looney to have a 20-rebound, 9-assist game, allowing Draymond Green to return and having a 20-point game. If the Sacramento Kings are going to win on their home floor, Stephen A., their all-NBA performer, Sabonis, has to be the guy he was during his best games of the regular season to give him that chance.
Well, let me say this. There's a couple of things. Number one, a guy in De'Aaron Fox, that baby that you talked about, 20 at least, or his first 6 playoff games, the only player in NBA history to do that was Oscar Robertson.
There you go.
Let's throw that out, okay? There's a reason I'm bringing up that number. Magic Johnson is the embodiment of a basketball savant. Regardless of all the other business, the brilliant things he's doing in the world of business, we miss hearing that brother talk basketball. It is the only argument I have ever gotten into with Magic Johnson. Draft De'Aaron Fox. Don't draft Lonzo Ball. De'Aaron Fox is special. I wasn't just talking about his quickness, his speed, his ability. He came out of Kentucky just a born leader. I'll never forget as long as I live just talking to him, listening to him, hearing him talk. This the intellect, the leadership capability. If there was a baby that can burst onto the scene in a Game 7 and knock off a 4-time champion, a 2-time league MVP, the reigning NBA, the greatest shooter God ever created, if there's a baby that could pull that off, it is De'Aaron Fox. I don't think it'll happen, but if there's one person who could pull it off, I would say it's him.
Well, he has his own dad's superpowers himself. He and his wife, Reese, just welcomed baby Rain into the world. His defense, I think, is what has taken everybody by surprise, or at least impressed me in this series. But Stephen A., who do you got when it's all said and done in this Game 7? I'm
going with the Warriors. I'm going to go with experience. I'm going to go with the baby-face assassin. I'm going to go, by the way, with the greatest shooting backcourt in the history of basketball, because I believe in Klay Thompson as well. And as Mike Wilbon has said on many occasions, the brother doesn't mince words. He knows what they didn't do in Game 6. He promised that the champions are going to show up in Game 7. You got to show me he's wrong, because Klay Thompson ain't no liar. And neither is Steph Curry. Of them looked fazed by the moment they're about to walk into today.
Yeah, I'm going with resolve and experience. Championship resolve. It's underestimated in today's culture, where people want to look at all the flash and dash and hand signals on the court and all that.
And handshakes.
You got some champions. And Sacramento may get there, but I don't think today.
I'm going with the Warriors as well, and I'm going to give a couple of different reasons. Jordan Poole has to have a game. I need a 25-point game from him. Don't worry about arguing with the officials. Get back competitively and stay in the game. Andrew Wiggins had a 20-point game a couple of games ago. They're going to need his offense. Gary Payton III, his defense in particular against the guy you talked about in De'Aaron Fox. It's going to take a team effort if you're going to get it done, but I think they have what it takes.
Jordan Poole, you get paid too. You get a check too. Show up.
And if he doesn't?
Going home.
He ain't going to want to watch TV. What Game 7s he's been in, they've won. When they've lost, it's because he's shooting about 33% from three-point range, and he's struggling from the field. Steph Curry, as he goes, they go, particularly in the Game 7. We understand the other components are incredibly important. Klay Thompson's going to be important. Andrew Wiggins is going to be important. Draymond Green, his defense, his intensity, staying out of foul trouble, those things are going to be important. Certainly, you look at Gary Payton and Andrew Wiggins together and what they bring defensively. Obviously, it would be nice to get a Jordan Poole sighting, but in the end, it all comes down to Steph Curry. He's got to show up, and he's got to be big, because that's what Game 7's call for.
You know, those post-game sessions are entertaining. I mean, you can't really take them to heart. I mean, people have just won or lost a game. They're talking really off the top of their heads. But occasionally there's a nugget, and you hear it, and it stays with you. And I know I don't have any conviction about who in this, but Klay Thompson, when he said, we're going to respond like the champions we are, that sticks with me.
You just gave me
to hear
goosebumps.
Klay say that. Klay is not a man of many words. He doesn't waste words. I've always loved listening to Klay, because he tells you what he means in real time all the time, and more often than not, it's money. And when Klay says that, I'm thinking, you know what? See, Sacramento doesn't have that in the bank. They're not champions. I always talk about how this league is full of heartbreak. The playoffs are they're defined by heartbreak. They are for just about everybody. Okay, Bill Russell, Magic, Tim Duncan, they didn't have it. Everybody else has had it, has tasted it. It's probably Sacramento's time to taste that heartbreak. And so more than any structure or X's and O's or any of that, it's that will that Klay Thompson talked about that I think.
Talking about a process of that heartbreak and learning from it, and then a number 3 seed now building on it next year. I'll take a player from each team, and I agree with Stephen A. that Steph Curry is going to show up. But for the Golden State Warriors, I had to look at this twice. Draymond Green has played in 4 Game 7s. He's only the 3rd player in the history of the league to average 15, 10, and 5 in Game 7.
Wow.
That 4-time championship pedigree you're talking about. But if the Kings are going to win, they need a Sabonis game. All of us voted for him to be All-NBA. And they're winning in a lot of ways despite him. In particular, in the previous game where he struggled to make shots, he had poor fouls, and everybody picked him up. So if the Kings are going to win on their home floor, they're going to need the Sabonis that became that All-NBA force to actually play like that on their home floor. But if I had to pick a team, I'm rolling with you. I'm not picking Klay Thompson in the Game 7. The Kings have everything in front of them that make me want to pick them. Then I think about who they're going against, and if I had to bet, I have to bet on them Splash Brothers.
I got to tell you, Stephen A., my heart says Golden State. My head says you can't just overlook these Sacramento Kings, even if Sabonis is saying, look, my eye got scratched, I'm worried about my vision and all of these other things.
Well, listen, first of all, we've got a guy, Malik Monk, who scored more points or more than anybody off the bench. The closest to him is Hachimura, which is, by about 32 points or whatever. He's the leading scorer off the bench in these playoffs. We got a guy in De'Aaron Fox that is a star, and make no mistake about it, he is something special. So when you look at Sacramento, you can't summarily dismiss them fresh legs, their youth, the fact that they can push the ball, push the pace, which is something that Mike Brown. We can't negate Mike Brown because Mike Brown played coached under Steve Kerr and is incredibly familiar with what some of the things that Steve Kerr likes to do, certainly his thinking. But in the end, makes superstars who they are. When you know what the obstacles are, when you know exactly what they're going to do, when you know how they're going to do it, and there is nothing you can do about it. And in the case of Steph Curry, he's that one player that if he gets going, it doesn't matter what you know about him. You still ain't going to stop.
But if you're a Kings fan, I want to drill down on something. The Warriors have been terrible all year on the road.
Yes, sir.
And you would bet that they kind of already won that game. And you have this game on your home floor. And also you have to think Sabonis can't be worse. Their depth and their role players are going to play better, so much better at home. But if the Warriors are going to win on the road, Jordan Poole, I got a number for him, 25. Jordan Poole has to have a game where he's not complaining to the refs, where he's not falling on the floor too much. They're going to give you a technical foul. You're not going to get the leeway that the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green get with the refs. He got to have a big game if they're
Children at home right now, though. The Los Angeles Lakers. They're watching this game. They're sitting at home, and they're waiting to see who their opponent is going to be. If you are LA, who do you want to see?